I'm Jess Wellington.
Yes, and what we do here at the Liars Club is we have two of our comedy pals come on. We ask them to tell two stories. One is the truth, one is a lie. We, along with the people that are playing along live with us as we stream from the world-famous Comedy Store's basement and their little studio, try to figure out which story is the truth and which story is a lie. They'll tell two stories, in case I didn't say that. Thank you very much if you're joining us live. We appreciate people that are playing along. We also appreciate people that are listening. Do us a big favor. Know that we do stream Mondays at 4:30-ish, all Mondays at 4:30-ish, and most Fridays at 8:30-ish. Austin, would you please introduce our guest, starting with our wonderful co-host?
Absolutely. Filling in for Jess today. You might have read about this lady in Forbes magazine last year, Felicia.
Oh,
She
Lord.
is the host of a podcast called Chronic Relief.
Yes, and I just did it. It's a wonderful podcast.
Oh, wow. Check out that episode. Some have referred
books
to
that
her...
room?
Felicia
She does.
Or she does. Right? Some have referred to her as the love child of Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg. She is smoking Rachel Wolfson.
Oh my God, thank you. That's so exciting that I have a black father in the
Isn't that cool?
year of our Lord 2020. It's what I've always wanted.
Happy 420.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for being our co-host. And what about these other fine folk here to her left?
Across from me is the writer-producer of a show called No Indoor Voices. You can catch that at Brazil Arts Cafe in Santa Barbara, California.
Great
She
show.
is Miss Kimmie D.
Welcome to the show, Kimmie D.
Thanks for having me.
I have to tell you, your show has some of the highest quality comedians in the country for a show that's outside of Showcase City.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying
Yeah,
that.
if you're in
I
Santa
work
Barbara, go look at
really
that.
hard for that.
Yeah,
Thank you for saying that.
You're very, very welcome. And Frank?
Next to her, like so many comic legends, he is a paid regular right here at the world-famous Comedy Store. He's a roast battle champion and a native to San Jose. This is Mr. Frank Castillo.
Yes,
Hey.
welcome to the show, Frank. Frank, you know, we do a lot of late night spots here at the Comedy Store together.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, every time I follow you, I get my shit in order.
Really?
Yeah. Like, you know, it gets pretty late and you're like, well, I'll have a cocktail and I'll try some new jokes. But when you go on, because you bang it, I'm like, well, I better get my
Frank
shit
is like
together.
the person in the race who is like the best athlete who's running just like a little bit faster,
Right,
than
right.
everybody else.
Right,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? And he
exactly.
motivates you. You're like, I
Yeah,
gotta
true.
get as fast as he is.
Oh,
you know?
that's funny. That's
It's
funny.
straight.
I'm just happy to be here, guys.
Well, thank you for being here. This is your second time here at the Liars Club.
Yes. Now I just got to remember which stories I told.
Yeah,
No,
I know. It's
I
true.
know.
It's
He
true.
gets so high, he just like tells the same story, but we're also high, so we forget too.
That's very true. And little does everybody realize that Jessica was on the road. She's been a road dog. She was in Portland.
Somebody
and she-
online said she's in prison. I don't know if they
Yeah,
have more information
well,
than we do. But.
She's in
She's
hell
gonna be
right
away
now
for a
from
while.
that drive from Portland. Let me tell you that.
By the way, Ken Lofgren already checking in. Good to know he's
Okay,
safe
good.
from coronavirus.
Yes, good. Ken Lofgren got everything.
You know,
okay.
Jessica Wellington kissed me once.
Yeah. Did you see that picture when she macked on TiVo?
Yeah,
That was
Video.
so wrong.
hilarious.
Oh my God, with Jason TiVo, it was like you can't unsee that.
I did see that.
Oh yeah, I know.
I stared at it for a second and it made me feel weird.
I know. The anti-twitch, if you know what I'm saying. All right. So why don't we just kick this off? Frank, why don't you go first? So since this is your your second time and Kimmie's first time.
Is it so we each do one story and then we do another, or we do back to back?
You're going to tell one story, and then Kimmie's going to tell a story, then you're going to tell a story, then Kimmie's going to tell a story, and we're going to ask questions all during it, and afterwards we're going to take a vote. And I forgot to do one little great piece of business, and when I say one, I mean two. Our on-air producer over there is Mr. Michael Evans in the control booth, switching the cameras.
Hello.
Yes, we like to keep the prettiest one of us all away from all the cameras.
You guys don't have a camera on me?
Yeah, no. We're sharing it, and it's sad. Yeah, both of us. And this right here is Mr. Austin Walker, who
Go Gators,
will
glad to
be
be
Yay.
managing everyone's thoughts on the YouTube channel. And okay,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So when I was in like high school, I lived with my cousin, and me and him were both like just nerdy metalheads.
Uh-huh.
So like we like to go to like we'd find concerts around town where they'd have them like not like underground but like indie concerts at like so places would like rent music halls and just throw like these like metal concerts on,
Uh-huh.
right? So me and my cousin went to one, and we I was living in East Side San Jose at the time, and we went and we brought our friend. It was all three of us, and I had my favorite jacket on, and we were there. And the thing about like this metal show, there was people there that you could tell had never been to like a metal show,
Uh-huh.
you know, because you know you can mosh and stuff. Well, I guess someone had beef with someone or something happened where like I remember we were sitting like kind of like not we were like near the pit, we weren't in it, but I just remember seeing these two girls kind of start going at it. They're just like chirping. Like one girl was clearly a chola who'd never been to a metal concert, and the other girl was just like a fan of metal. And they were like all in the pit, and they started like talking shit to each other. So the girl that's talking shit, that's the chola, her back is towards the pit, and the girl that she's talking shit to is in front of her.
Okay.
So she pushes her into the pit, and the pit's going crazy, right? And then I just remember all I see is the girl get pushed, and then just
the white girl pushed the other girl.
I don't know if she was a white girl. It was just like
Okay.
I think she was. I think they were both Mexican, but I just remember the Mexican chola girl was the one that got pushed into the pit. And I remember as she gets pushed in the pit, you just see someone's fucking elbow just deck her, right? Because the pit, like everyone's just going crazy.
Oh,
and stuff.
by accident.
Yes.
Okay.
But she didn't know. She doesn't.
She's
been
never
like
been, so she doesn't know.
what's going on. Yeah.
Right.
So she gets
Right.
pushed and she just gets wrecked, right?
I'm big on moshies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not.
mosh like once a week just
I
to
hope you don't have a mosh story. That'd be awkward.
just to keep limber.
Yeah, but this shit got wrecked, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I remember, like, that's kind of like the last I see of them. Like, the show keeps going, and then we kind of moved to the benches off to, like, the right. And we, like, I remember I put, like, my jacket down, and we all kind of put our jackets down. And the show's going on. We're, like, right next to the stage where the stack is. And then the singer for the next band goes up, and he's just like, hey, whoever is saying that someone got stabbed outside needs to knock it off because that's not funny, right? And they'd, like, turn off all the, turn the music down and stuff, like, to make this announcement.
Right.
And then you hear in the back someone go, no, someone got stabbed outside. And then, like, it just gets quiet. And then the lights turn up and everyone's like, they start, like, evacuating everything. And as we're leaving, you can see there's, like, blood streaks going out.
No
like,
way.
yeah.
So
there's,
they
like,
actually got stabbed
yeah,
inside?
yeah. So there's, like, a handprint and stuff. And then, like, we were, like, right by the door, the entrance of the door. We all had to, like, leave. But there's a girl, the girl who pushed the chola is lying on the floor.
No.
Yeah, and she got stabbed, right?
No.
Yeah. So we all had to step over her.
Why?
Because she got stabbed, like, right
They
in
had to
front
step
of the door.
over her so they could go to the concession stand to
Hilarious.
get nachos.
She was like,
And
she was
in
like,
the way.
yeah, she was like right in the entrance to where, like, we all had to, like,
Merch.
Yeah, we all had to, like, kind of. That's hilarious. We had to, like, kind of squeeze by her. So we all, like,
They hit her
were
by the merch.
She was getting that T-shirt, dog.
They're like, keep moshing.
Yeah.
We got her.
And then, no. So we're just kind of standing there, and, like, we're fucking, like, the cops are coming and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, we got to get the fuck out of here. So me and my cousins, we all, like, left, but we, like, watched a girl fucking gets, like, pretty much, like, in her last moments. And I remember when we finally got to my cousin's house, we were sitting there, and I looked at my friend, and I was like, oh, shit, did you grab our jackets? And he was like, no. And I was like, fuck. And those were our favorite jackets.
Favorite jacket.
His favorite jacket.
You know what?
I don't know.
Hey, wasn't it, it's interesting, right? Because that's like, as far as being metalhead kids, that's like the most metal shit that could go down.
Yeah, that is, like, the
someone
most
died
metal.
someone died at a fucking place.
Oh, they
yeah.
died?
Yeah.
She died?
Yeah, I ended up looking up, like, later online, and yeah, she died.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Wow.
Yep.
Wait, so wait.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah.
I have
So-
so many questions.
Was
I
it the
can't believe
first time
she
that you-
died, but the girl who got thrown into the mosh pit lived.
Well, yeah, she just got hit in the face. Getting hit in the face, nothing in the mosh pit.
yeah.
I've been kicked and elbowed in the mosh pit.
Was
You
she
get
the one
broken
that
glass.
stabbed the girl?
Yeah, she was the one that stabbed the girl.
So
Oh,
she
she,
got-
came back for
Yeah.
revenge.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
And did she get arrested?
I don't know if she ever got arrested. I just remember reading that she died and that they didn't find anybody. Because I remember that, from what I understand, someone was saying that, because when we were all outside, they were like, who saw whatever, and then one of the girls was like, oh, she just bolted immediately.
Now this girl opens for like metal bands on the
Hilarious.
Well, I have questions.
Go
okay?
ahead.
And it's more to do with the actual layout of the club.
Mhm.
All right. So you said the mosh pit.
It's not a club. It was like a music hall.
Like a
So,
music
like,
venue.
think the kind of hall you would rent for a banquet. So there's a stage,
Right.
and there's a huge big room. At the back of the room
Right.
is where, like, the entrance is.
It's like a
Okay.
high school
Yeah.
auditorium.
So it's like, there's a big square here. You walk in, you make
Right,
a left, and that's where the big hall is, and the stage is right here.
Okay. And then, but it's a music venue all the time.
Not like a music venue. It's just like it's a hall.
But they move everything around.
Yes.
Oh, they can move it. Oh,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's what confused me is when you said a bench and you were near the mosh pit. pit.
Well,
Like, why would there be a bench? Like, I've been to around mosh
Yeah.
pits and stuff like that, but there's no
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
Usually there's-
benches.
yeah, there's like the side of
There's
the
no
hall.
benches or lazy boys,
Yeah,
although
but-
there should be, because like
Yeah.
that would be great. I would watch them up.
You ever been to like a gym where they have like the things on the wall that come out?
Oh, bleachers.
Bleachers.
Oh,
yes,
bleachers.
Yes.
They
That
have
makes
bleachers
sense.
at
Yes.
a banquet hall.
Yes.
So it's like an auditorium.
rent
from
those.
high
It might have
school.
been a high school auditorium.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
But
like.
I just remember there being like a place where we put our jackets on.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you would remember if a venue if someone got stabbed there. I think you would remember. I mean, I've been to a lot of music venues, and I fucking know a music venue like the back of my hand.
Mhm.
So I can't believe if it was a banquet hall that it would have bleachers, and that you would tell that story saying it's a music hall, and now you're saying that could have been a school auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
To be
Wait.
fair, I don't remember the name of the place where I met a guy who played for a band where I got fingered. But like I
Well,
do remember
you were
the
distracted.
city.
That's a
You
lot
were
I
like-
do
distracted.
remember, like I do remember, and I want to
I
think
mean,
these are
I've been
similar.
fingered all through the music industry.
But
I've been fingered by the concession
remember-
stand, the green room,
I
the
think it was
restroom.
in-
Never by benches though.
It was either in Maryland or DC. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
and
I
this
know
is-
it was on the East
First
Coast.
time a fingering story outbeat a stabbing story. Well done.
They're
They're
both
both
kinda one of the
stabbing.
same.
Well done.
I'm
yeah,
trying
someone's
to
getting stabbed.
empathize here
Wait, so Frank, did
Well
you-
done.
Did you
of
not
things that have been
see-
stuck inside us.
Was there any like official reporting on? Like, I mean, a girl dies outside a music venue. Did you watch the news or check for this at all?
I remember my cousin looked it up, and I remember he
Oh,
showed
I thought
me.
you said you looked it up.
Well, I just remember it got looked up.
Did you
Okay.
contemplate like going to the memorial or
No!
donating to
Are
the
you kidding me?
GoFundMe?
No.
No,
Oh, this
man,
also
shit.
wasn't the time where the GoFundMe's was going
Yeah.
Yeah,
on.
that chick fucked around, got stabbed. man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
No one
problem.
It's
starts
also-
a GoFundMe for a chick that ain't
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
at a
yeah.
music venue.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. It wasn't like a music venue. It was like a hall. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like a
yeah.
banquet hall, or
No,
like those places you like.
They
rent.
have those like the what do they call them? The Grange halls
Yeah, like
and
Jessica
stuff
books
like
that,
that.
does that show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where it's like a
What shows?
multi-purpose use.
Right.
Like that.
like
a
a-
YMCA.
Yeah, no, yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
sorta.
it's got an acronym. It's like a military people hang out there.
Oh
that
yeah,
wear-
the one that
The VFW?
Yeah, it's in
Oh
a
my
very,
God.
It's in a very scary end of town. I've-
Right.
Actually, no. It's not a VFW, but you ever been to one of those?
Like
it
the
feels
Elks.
like it. You know
I
what I mean?
love
yeah,
the
Yeah, yeah.
VFW.
It definitely felt like that. Yeah. yeah. I love-
Anything can go down.
You can get fingered at
Who
a
has
VFW.
You can get fingered, or someone might drop the N bomb. Like
You might
anything.
get stabbed, yeah.
It
Right.
just
Yeah.
And
All
those
right.
pickled eggs on the bar.
Oh.
Michael, can you put your sound up a little bit? It feels like it's a little low. I just wanted to say that. Well, that's a very good
crank it.
first story, and I love that. I have many questions. Some were answered, some were not. Do we have any comments?
Yeah, I got a couple of comments online. Gnome Groan's checking in, said he's about to smoke a
no.
bowl and zone out on Felicia. I don't know what zone out means, but
you worry about your own business, motherfucker.
Ken Lofgren and
Damn.
Jason Marino, they're both throwing up red flags already because they feel like the "we forgot our jackets" thing was a little tag, and maybe that's just the lie, that all happened and there was no jacket
Right.
involved,
It
or
does
they
kind
didn't
of
forget their
feel
jacket.
like
No, there was a jacket. It was
part of a true story, but
yeah.
the stabbing maybe the lie.
I'm gonna be bummed if it's just like no, that story was the lie and we didn't forget the jackets. You know what I mean? Because people do shit like that. They'll
No.
switcheroo,
I feel like
Yeah.
I was a
No,
switcheroo.
I forgot that
Yeah.
jacket, and it sat with me
You'd be wearing it now.
for a long time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move along. Kimmie, why don't you give us your first story?
Well, both of my stories are things I don't really tell many people because.
Perfect place to start.
Well, it's kind of like when after the election happened, I had a stroke, and I don't
Mhm.
really talk about
Oh,
that.
right,
you know,
right,
so
right.
it's one of those things. But when I was a kid, I know it's hard to believe now because I'm 40 pounds overweight. I tried out for Rockettes.
No, you were cutie pie because I've seen you post pictures and you were cutie pie.
Yeah, skinny
Yes, yeah.
and adorable.
Yeah, you still are adorable.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah,
But fat.
no, that's not true. Fuck.
No, but I am. So I grew up tap dancing. I was I had a friend, Gail Dunkel, in kindergarten, and she couldn't come over to play because she had to go to dancing school. So I asked my mom if I can go to dancing school, and Gene Kelly's brother, Fred Kelly, was the teacher. So he used to send us
The
out.
Gene Kelly?
The Gene Kelly.
Yeah, like Singing in the Rain
like
Gene Kelly?
Singing in the
Yeah.
Rain Gene Kelly. Yes.
I do that for the youngins.
For the they got to look it up anyway.
Thank
I
you,
don't fucking know.
seriously, thank you.
No
They
Googling.
won't. They won't know. And he
Frank Kelly.
no Fred.
Fred Kelly.
There were 5 Kellys, and the mom taught dancing.
And then there was
school.
R. Kelly.
Not
The
to be
illegitimate
confused.
son of Frank Kelly.
There were 5 Kellys in the family, and the mom taught dance school, and so they all grew up dancing.
Okay.
So then my teacher was Fred Kelly.
Okay.
And so he used to, he really liked me and thought I had a good presence. So he gave me classes.
Okay.
For free classes because he wanted me to open up shows and stuff, and he would send me to New York. And eventually, he sent me to New York to try out for the Rockettes.
How old were you?
I was just, I moved down to the Jersey Shore from, the studio was in Hackensack. No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was on Kinderkamak in Oradell, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I moved to the Jersey Shore. But then after years later, when I was allowed to drive, I drove from the shore all the way up to Oradell once a week to take classes with his daughter-in-law, who was a Rockette at one time.
Okay.
So at this point, I was like just out of high school, 1980 or so.
Okay.
And so I went to try out for the Rockettes, and I was one of the subs. I made sub.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
And that's your story?
That's my story.
Yeah. I've seen the Rockettes, and they're kind of tallish, aren't they, Kimmie?
Yeah, they are now. But when I was doing it, they were the shortest.
Yeah, I was thinking like super tall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're kind of
That's
tall
why they're
'cause-
called because they're tall like rockets.
They're
Wow.
they're 5'6"
No?
now. They go like between 5'5" and 5'6". But when back in the 80s,
Uh-huh.
the
It's not the 1880s where everyone was
No,
iron
but they-
deficient, Kimmie.
it was the smallest one was 5 foot, so I could kind of because I'm technically I was
Right.
4'11" and 3/4. I don't count the 3/4.
Wow.
I just go
And could you
4'11".
kick your leg over your head?
Yeah, I was studying can at college. We did I was in I've always been dancing. So
Uh-huh.
I had ballet and tap and modern, and I was in a dance club
What
at
college did you go to?
Well, I started in a community college, Ocean County College in Toms River, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then I went to Montclair State 4 years later. Me and Carmela Soprano, we both went to Montclair.
That's cool.
Yeah, she always mentioned that on the show. That she always talked about Montclair State for some reason.
I think I believe it because she
You
looks
do?
like she could kick her leg over her head. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't. Do
She's
It's like she
right.
can.
She, what was that walk you did?
one.
She could.
The Camino.
Yeah.
The
What is
500
that?
It's a 500-mile pilgrimage across the north of Spain.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, like, I know that you have some athletic ability because I would never do that.
I still have tap shoes, and whenever I go to New York, I still take class at Steps with Lynn Swan
Okay. All right.
or Schwab. Schwab, I think her
Did
name
you
is.
like Shirley Temple or no?
Yeah, I liked her because she was always dancing with Bo Jangles, and he was the best.
All right, she checks out.
Okay.
How long?
I was like, what the fuck kind of reference is that?
What in the world?
How long were you a sub?
I
for?
also took tap for
Well-
about 2 years.
There's a total of
Montclair.
there's 2 casts. There's a total of 80 Rockettes, and so there's 36 in each cast. So they have 4 subs in case somebody gets sick or injured or something like that.
And so, when you were sub, what does that entail? Do you have to go down every night just in case?
Well, you have to definitely be in shape, and you have to try out every single year. Even though the ones that have kind of always gone, like if you are if you're a Rockette and you have to try out again next year, but they pretty much invite you back, and you're the one who kind of takes you under the wing. So his daughter-in-law, whose name I forget, she was a tall, beautiful redhead married to his son Mike.
She was tall, you say?
Diane. Yeah, she was really tall.
Yeah.
She was really tall.
Well, this is a game besides a podcast, and it's a smart thing to bring a story where you're talking about something that really no one else can like bust you on it. No, so that's a good move. I think that's a excellent move. Are there any comments online?
There are some people being thrown by the last name Dunkel. You said Gail Dunkel was
She was my friend
in
in
your
kindergarten.
story. A lot of people can't believe that's a real name.
Look her up. She's
Dunkel?
a doctor.
No,
Yeah.
we don't Google
Dr.
here.
Dunkel, come
Dr.
on.
Dunkel.
This
Dr.
is-
Dunkel? Nah, that sounds like
No,
a goofy ass enough name.
She's married
Yeah,
now.
What kind of doctor is she?
Well, this was the cute thing. When she was little, when we were in kindergarten together, I always had to help her. This is so embarrassing. I always had to help her put her shoes on the right feet and tie her shoes for her. And I'm a comic, and she's a fucking doctor. So there you go.
That's how it
Well,
always
what
goes.
is she a doctor of?
Foot doctor?
She's a foot doctor?
I think she's a pediatrician,
Oh.
and her
Okay.
brother was a doctor
All right.
in Africa.
But
All
a
right.
podiatrist or a pediatrician?
Pediatrician.
Or a pediatric podiatrist, like a baby feet doctor?
I know what a pediatric.
All right, we're gonna.
Sorry.
I don't mean to
I
interrupt
think
he
this
likes feet,
vivid
guys.
conversation, but we're gonna move it along to Frank's second story.
We're gonna step away from that one.
You can't win on that one, Frank. Your second story.
All right, so my mom, my parents were divorced when they were younger. When I was younger, so I got shuffled between them a lot.
Technically, they were younger too.
Yeah, they were younger. They were young. So my mom was at the time.
Oh yeah,
trying
your dad's he's like a youngster.
Yeah, he's like 50 yeah, I
he's
think
a
he's
handsome
50
fella.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your
My
dad's
mom's
very
like
handsome.
45, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
46.
I
But
actually befriended your dad before I befriended you.
I remember
on
that too. My
Facebook,
dad
yeah.
called me. He was like, "Yo, who's this chick that's adding me on Facebook?" I was like, "Oh, that's a comic." He goes, "Oh, okay. I think she's trying to add you." And I go, "Oh, yeah, yeah." And he goes,
Hilarious.
and he was just
Yeah.
like, he was like,
We
"Who
got
are
a
these
couple
hot-"
listeners that are getting jealous.
Yeah, he was like, "Who are these hot people that are adding me on Facebook?" And I was like, "These are all comics. Calm down, Dad."
Frank, how old are you?
I'm 30.
30.
Yeah. So
That is young parents.
I know.
Huh?
Yeah. So all right. So my mom was finishing her school at the time. So I was being watched by I can't remember what family.
Your parents
member at
got
the time.
divorced, and your mom was going to
School,
college.
yeah. My dad was like doing his own thing.
Okay.
But I can't remember if I was with my dad or my mom at the time. I just remember she was telling me the story when she she used to go to college in Gilroy,
Okay.
right?
Garlic place.
Yes, and the college up there is like I don't know if you've ever been to Gilroy. It's pretty like mountainous and shit.
Yeah.
And there's also like fields and they have
Right.
garlic and stuff. So my mom was going to the community college up there, and the community college is near like kind of like the mountains and stuff. So she would take night classes. And one night when she was leaving, she was walking to her car. She said she got to her car and she had started to open it, and then as she put her keys in the the door handle and stuff, she saw a cat under one of the street lamps, right? Just the eyes, right? And she was like, "Oh no!" She's big fucking pet person, so she like walks away and she goes up to the cat and she's like, "Oh, come here!" And she's like trying to get the cat. She's like, "Come here, come here!" And she's like low to the ground, like doing the thing, like, and the cat walks into the light and it's a fucking cougar. Or not like or whatever a mountain lion is, whatever those big fucking
Yeah, that's
cats
what
are.
it is.
Is
yeah.
it a cougar?
I think they're cougars.
I don't know, Frank. It's your story.
Hilarious. I just know it's a big fucking cat. It
Was it a cougar? Was it a puma? Was it a wild boar?
It
She
could've been a
says it was a
bobcat.
cougar, but I mean,
no,
I
those
don't
are
know.
cougars. I
Are those
think.
cougars?
Yeah,
I
those
don't-
are
she said it was a big
absolutely.
fucking
Yeah,
cat.
Right.
So she was like it steps into the
50-year-old lady under the car.
No, she wasn't 50. At the time she was like in her 20s.
No, I meant
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah.
cougar.
Like,
Yeah,
So
it was a
did your-
50-year-old lady. So a MILF steps under the lights. She's got a box of wine in one hand. So like the big ass cat, I think it's a cougar, steps into the light, and my mom was like, I freaked the fuck out.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
she like immediately starts to like try to back up and like go slow, and the cat is just like kind of like fucking walking towards her and shit. So she fucking immediately just turns around and fucking books it to the car.
That's like the worst thing to do, isn't it?
She books it to the car, and the keys, she said she was lucky because she had unlocked the car when she had
Right.
went in, but she said when she got to the car and tried to get in, she'd forgotten the fucking keys were still on the outside. So she fucking closes the door, right? And she's in there, and the cat's just fucking circling, right? So she can't get out of the car to get the keys. So she said she was stuck there for like an hour and a half till the cat finally just walked the fuck away, and she was able to like open the door and sneak the keys out.
Yeah.
But she was nervous because she didn't like want to roll down the window or anything because she didn't want like the fucking cat was like right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. People don't realize, like, living in Los Angeles, even in an urban environment like this, you see coyotes. I saw a
Yeah.
bobcat once. Just
Skunk.
going, all sorts of animals. So that sounds believable. What
I
are
saw
your
Bob
thoughts?
Saget.
You did. He wasn't
kinds of
running like a
animals.
motherfucker across Mulholland, was it? Could have been him. What do you think about this story, Rachel?
Well, one, I observed it was a story about Frank's mom, not
Mhm.
about Frank, which I
But-
was like, I need more Frank stories. So
Okay, fair enough.
I'm like, why would he tell a story about his mom? But it's his story about his parents. And
He did ask me before the podcast started if he could tell a story about someone else, whether it was a truth or lie, and I said he could.
I'm missing this.
Yeah.
piece of
I said
information.
he could, but that as long as they weren't two true stories and two
What I observed is
lies.
this story was shorter than the other one. The other one
Yeah.
had more details.
Right.
Well, he's got the actual visual of the other. This is like a retelling from your mom, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a regular cat. She's embarrassed.
It was
And-
a
Hidden there
tabby.
for an hour. Yeah.
And how old were you when this happened?
She was in college when she was in her 20s. I had to have been like 9, 10 maybe.
Do you
at the time.
remember her picking you up, like freaking the fuck out?
No, I remember she had called me and
Uh-huh.
told me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were just staying at someone's house. So
I think I was living at because my parents had split. So like
Uh-huh.
my mom wanted to finish college. So I was either staying with my dad at the time or my stepmom's families, the Mazas.
Okay, so you weren't under her
I was
care
not.
24/7.
No. There was
Okay.
there's a period of time where she was off finishing school while I
Uh-huh.
was living with my father.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Huh. Well, it's hard to ask you questions in that sense. So, is there anything that she could prove that she ever proved to
Can we
back that
call
story?
your mom
Yes,
right
can we
now
call her
and
right
ask
now?
Do
her
you-
some
do you-
questions?
Yes,
His
your
mom's
phone's-
actually calling.
His
right
mom's
now.
calling him right now.
You want me to call my
That
mom?
is
right
Yes,
now?
call your mom.
That is
Okay.
so wild.
Yeah, let's get.
Well, we can't
What's your
verify.
mom's name?
We
Oh,
don't
we
wanna
have to.
ver-
We have
we
to
should
wait.
wait until
we
the-
should wait till
Okay.
after
Yeah,
the vote,
if
and
she's
then we
available.
can call and ask from her.
Text
By the way,
Right
that's
now.
opening a huge can of worms.
Why?
If you,
Why?
you've
Why?
never
Oh,
met
this
my
is the
mom.
Why would it open
What
a
is her
can of
name?
worms?
Victoria?
Oh,
Mrs.
yeah.
Victoria?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that how I should address
It's
her?
just she's gonna be like,
Miss.
if you
Miss
address her
Vicky.
as Mrs. Victoria, she's gonna be like, are the fucking cops with you right now? Like, it's gonna be like
The
I'm
most
fine with it,
opposite
but it's
thing
gonna
than
be
cops.
very
No, if
funny.
I said Mrs. Castillo.
She'd be like,
Yeah, is her last
she's
name also
she's
Castillo?
remarried. Her
She's
last name's
remarried.
Madrigal, so she'd probably
Okay.
laugh.
Madrigal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I
Or
think
she'd
that's-
say he wishes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Frank's mom, is that you?
Is anybody saying anything about this story online?
Jason Marino says it's intense. It's hard to call that a lie. And Ken Lofgren said these are a couple of great stories because it really is hard to tell. But he's going with this one being the lie. So
Where's your mom from?
My mom is from the Bay Area, Eastside San Jose. She worked in Gilroy at a what's it called when kids go to jail and it's not real jail? Juvenile detention center. Yeah.
Middle school?
Same thing.
Hey, what is it that you're supposed
That's
to
homeschool.
actually do in a situation with an animal like that? You're supposed to
Look
act
bigger. You're
big.
supposed to
You
act
gotta act
big.
big.
You're
Yeah,
supposed to act
yeah.
I can't imagine actually doing any of those things you're supposed to do. Like really in that situation,
And
we'd
if
all
you
wanna
will
turn and
die.
fucking
If you're
run.
terrified, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, where she's from sounds like somebody who may do the wrong thing
Yeah,
when
yeah.
faced with a cougar.
Yeah.
And does your mom carry like any kind of stuff with her now, like on her rings with her? You know what I
Mace,
mean?
rape
No.
whistle.
Yeah.
I think she has mace. I'm not
Uh-huh,
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, so you're saying that the cat was where? Under
So-
the car?
No. So it was a big parking lot, right?
Okay.
So her car was like right here,
Uh-huh.
and at the end of the parking lot,
Uh-huh.
there's a big, the lamppost,
Right.
right? So the cat was outside of the parking lot, like you can right before you're able to like step into the light, so she could only see the eyes.
Uh-huh.
So then when she was like, she got kind of like halfway to the parking lot, was like, trying to like get it to come out, and then it stepped out, and she was like, oh fuck.
Has your mom had previous experience in fighting wild beasts?
I mean, she did date my dad for. No, I'm just kidding. No, not that I
like
know
your
of.
dad even more now.
Oh shit. No.
June's gonna be tough. Father's Day.
Not that I know of. I think she said she got attacked by a dog once when she was a kid, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Stabbed a chick at a metal show once.
Yeah, she stabbed a chick at a metal show.
Was that the guy? Was that the guy she met before your father? I'm just kidding. That was a bad
No,
joke.
yeah.
Anyways,
You know
moving
what?
forward.
But then you saying that she got attacked by a dog as a kid, because I got attacked by a dog as a kid, and I don't. if I see eyes somewhere, fuck that animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I got attacked once. And I don't mean to make light of it, but I fucking heard of dachshunds.
No, it's very.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they were like I was like 9 years old.
They
and
will
like
bite your ankles.
and they were like fucking like being attacked by piranhas
Well,
at
that-
the playground.
Wiener
You know?
dogs?
That's why
wiener dogs.
Well, they are German.
Now she can't eat hot dogs.
Well, if you think it's
Great.
if you think it's a cat, you're like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
I
if
don't
you think it's a dog,
know.
it's different. You know, cats
But
and dogs
late
are so
at
different.
night, how late at night do you think it was?
Oh, it was late. It was night classes.
I feel like
Yeah.
cats are scared.
No,
That's why they're
Cougar.
called scaredy
not
cats.
cougars, not mountain lions.
Cougars are on the prowl.
Yeah.
I just think as a woman, I have big reservations. But no, as a woman, when you're leaving like night classes and you're going into a dark parking lot, I think you are not fucking around with anything. You get in your car and you fucking get the fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to me.
But then I think if you think it's a cat, if you think it's just like, you know.
Oh, I
like a-
forgot she like tried to go pet it. and
Yeah,
shit.
thought it was like a fucking cat that was just a stray.
Whoa.
But then if I think
That's
that
such a
that's-
woman thing too. It's like let's adopt it. You
Yeah, I
know,
was trying to bring it home.
something on the street. It's cute.
Huh.
There's like a dual because there's like two types of. There's
Yeah.
like one.
I do that with dog, but cats, fuck
Yeah.
that.
I think if you have a kid and you're doing night classes and your ex-husband has your kid because he's being understanding of you doing the night classes and it's late at night and you just fucking probably worked a shift when did whatever.
Yeah, your mom is not
Yeah,
gonna give a fuck about
that-
this.
Yeah, I
cat.
agree. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like I definitely believe you went to metal shows as a kid where stabbings happened all the time. Like that's so believable. That's
Yeah.
but
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, if anybody has any more questions, I'm sure Austin will let us know. How
No,
about
They're
yes?
debating right now over
Really? Oh,
whether
that's so
anybody
great.
has seen a wild cat like that out in public, out in a parking lot or in the street. And Jason Marino, I think it was, actually said that he saw one while he was hiking. He lives here in Southern California.
Uh-huh.
But so far, nobody has seen one out in the street like that on pavement. So, some people are even saying that they tend to avoid human contact as much as possible. So I'm no wildcat expert, but that's what they're saying.
Right. Well, I did see a bobcat once on Mulholland in the middle of the daytime running across, and there
Well,
was
they're usually
lots
looking
of,
for water.
Yeah,
When they start going into
yeah.
town, they're looking
Yeah.
for water. And we've had a drought for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're being forced out. But that's true. You always hear
Damn, this
about,
one
like,
really got
Yeah.
fucking. This is this is dope.
we might need to call in scientific expert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I think people mostly like spot those. Like, oh, there was
Yeah.
a bobcat or like a mountain lion spot in your. I don't know if they're coming out to people like that.
Well, because where I live in Topanga, and there's like a little group on Facebook, and they have all the animals and pictures of everything that gets spotted, and it's more in a public place than you would think. But I think two things can be true at the same time. But let's move on to your second story, Kimmie.
This is really embarrassing because at the time I believed in God.
We all went through that.
Yeah, right. So I guess I was about 37 or so. I was living in California and I was tracking people down for the high school reunion and ended up talking to this one fellow for about a month straight every single day. And then he came to California and asked me to marry him, and we got engaged. So I thought it was a good idea to go back to.
Do I know this story? Because you're talking about your husband, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think you know this story.
Okay.
So I went back to his house because he had this beautiful house, and he had just gotten
Certified to be an architect?
No, he was offered partnership with his firm and had a great house. But he lived in South Carolina, and I'm from New Jersey. And I went, I have gay, black, and Jew friends. I don't want to live in South Carolina ever. But I thought, well, maybe I should just go and see what it's like. Okay. So I go. I said, I don't care about anything about the house. I just don't want to see ex-girlfriend pictures.
Really? The first time you're visiting his house, you fucking laid the law down like
I'm
that?
4'11". Fucking put him on a shelf. I don't want to see.
I fucking respect
true, it
that.
wouldn't
I
be-
respect that.
Yeah, it
You know
wouldn't
what
be
I mean?
tough to
Why
hide.
would there be
Wow.
ex-girlfriend
Yeah.
pictures also?
Because he's a boy, and That's what they do.
Yeah, no, I still got a box of fucking
Thank you.
letters from high school girls.
Yeah, but
where I
those
was
aren't
like,
out.
Yeah, but those aren't out.
On display.
No, I show my wife them all the time where I'm just like fucking act right. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I did that with the Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Look, honey, look how good you got it.
Yeah.
All
so,
right.
so anyway, that did not happen. We had a big fight, and I storm out of the house.
So you had pictures up?
He had pictures, and I was upset, and we had a big argument about it. And I stormed out of the house, threw the ring back at him, and I am walking down the street, and I said, "God, am I really supposed to marry this asshole? Give me a sign." And at that moment, this truck, it was a pickup truck, went screeching down the street. Now, this was Mother's Day, May, and it was Mother's Day night. So it screeches to a stop sign, but can't really stop, and checks there's nobody coming, so it just guns it. And then I hear this big noise, and as I get to the corner, there's this big cylindrical vessel billowing smoke, and I went, holy crap, the manifold. And I went, no, that's on the engine line. I was trying to figure out, and they just drove away. So as I get up to this thing, I notice it is a pot, and it's a pot of cooked crabs that just fell off the back of the truck. Wow. So I had been living in California for a while, and these were blue claw crabs. And I don't know if you know anything about blue claw crabs, but they're fucking delicious. So I pull my sleeves down like pot holders, and I was really torn because I made this big exit.
What kind of story is this, Kimmie D?
I just made a big exit, and I didn't want to go back. But I didn't want cats to eat the fucking crabs because they were. So anyway.
And there's mountain lions out here, too.
Thank you. So I took the crabs
But this is in South Carolina.
Yeah, I took the crabs back. And he
How dare you.
he was in the bedroom upset. And I walked in, and I was still mad, and the big, part of it was communication. We were arguing over communication besides the girlfriend pictures. And I said, I've got crabs. Do you want any? And then he went, I'm sorry. I thought I was the only one you were sleeping with. And I went, you are. What's the point? And so it was like a who's on first, So then I storm out to go eat the crabs, and he comes out, and he says, where did you find them? And I went, I don't know. In the street. He goes, what street? How the fuck do I know? I don't know what street. I've never been here. I'm walking around. It's 10 o'clock at night. I don't fucking know. So he says, well, I don't think it's a really good idea that, you eat crabs that fell off the back of a truck. So I went, fine. And he goes, well, they look good. He goes, well, they're still warm. We can eat these. So then the next day, we went to a mall to buy some stuff for our wedding. And we found this store, and it had a little crab pin. And I went, oh, yeah, let's get that. That's really nice. And the artist wrote a note that said, the artist wrote a note that said, at home, both at land and at sea, the crab signifies the attraction of opposites, and is often known as the messenger of the gods. And I was like, fuck, now I gotta get married. And I've been married for 20 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Forced to get married by a crab.
Well, that sounds like a big fucking pot of crab shit.
Yeah.
I don't know about that
Yeah.
story. Oh my God, that story. Well,
Are the pictures of the ex-girlfriend still in the house?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
So I just can't believe, because I can't say that I know your husband. I
My ex-husband.
I almost said ex-husband.
Hey, he hasn't found the trophy wife yet.
But I mean, I know him a little bit, and you guys are opposites.
Yeah.
You guys truly are opposites, and I know that you're really into food, so I can see, because you're a really great cook. Like, you make all these
Thank
great
you.
Italian dishes. Like, that's her thing. If Kimmie's doing a project, and she's like, will you do my project? And you're like, well, and she's like, I'm cooking. You're like, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you want, right? Because that's how good of a cook she is.
Thank you.
And she's a good writer and fun to be around. So I believe that part of the story, but altogether, it just seems a little all over the place, and kind of a strange little meandering story. What do you think, Rachel?
There was a lot of details in this story.
Uh-huh.
there was an arc, and then the ending. Like I didn't think it was gonna go that way. Like I thought you were gonna walk in and not marry. You were gonna like the.
I
Like
wish.
I also thought that the message on the thing was gonna be like, you know, if he makes you feel like a crab, you should break up with him or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
pinch it off.
I wasn't expecting the mess. You know what I mean?
Pinch
Like
it off.
push him out to sea. I
This
don't
is
know.
why I don't
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
in God
yeah.
anymore.
No, yeah, I think if you believe in God and you want to see signs, you'll be like, all right, this is it. So
Right.
I spent a lot of
it adds
time.
up
Also,
to that.
what
Yeah.
was weird, not weird, but something that I noted, I was like, damn, she believed in God till she was 37. I was like, I was like 15, you know?
I've
So
spent a
I'm
lot of time in
slow.
South Carolina.
It was like
and I've-
around 9/11, and I was like, well, there
Yeah.
goes
But
my
also,
belief,
how
you know?
like I don't, if a pot of crabs falls off the back of a truck,
How did it not spill over?
how did it not spill? Also, like how
Right,
does it?
right.
I've
Well, she
never
said they
seen a truck
came-
carrying a hot
In
pot of
Osher.
crabs
Came
ever
to a
anywhere in the
stop.
South.
Called
Yeah.
inertia.
Didn't they screech to a stop at the stop sign, and then you just saw the truck disappear, and the pot was sitting there, like they dumped it out,
Yeah,
like
but
they
what-
put it out there real quick.
All right, but even all right, so let's go into the physics of it.
Okay.
So say you're like this, right, and you have
Yeah.
a pot, and you
Uh-huh.
drive and you stop.
I feel you, and it's
Know what I
hot. She
mean?
said it
I'm
was
gonna
steaming
stop.
hot.
Also,
pick
is
up the
that
pot.
lid attached, or is it like
No, the
you know what I
lid
mean?
was-
What's going on with the
Immediately,
lid?
She knew it was blue crab.
How'd she know?
Well,
That?
because she's
I was in the
she's
South.
a,
East
she's
Coast
No,
a,
no, no. I think that's impressive.
yeah.
I'm an
But
East
it-
Coast girl.
but
And
if,
we always used to go
Yeah.
crabbing in the summertime.
So you're saying the truck like went to the stop, right? If he
and then
went,
took off.
but when he took off, was it like that, or was it just regular takeoff? Answer the question. You know what I'm
With
saying?
sound
Like-
effects.
well, you know what I'm
Like
saying.
it's
Was
a-
it spinning? Like, was it some dickhead like whoa, woo, and so he's like,
I
like
think they were going so fast that they happened upon the stop sign and didn't
so you think it
realize-
fell off
What-
when it hit
was
the
it-
stop sign?
was
Because
it-
if it
there was
hit
no
the stop sign,
tailgate.
it would
There
have
was no
slid the other-
tailgate, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a regular pickup truck.
Yeah, it was South Carolina.
So you didn't see anyone get out and pull it out of the bed?
No.
Oh, well then how'd it get out of there?
That's the thing. She said that is because it was on the back of the pickup truck when
But
it
it didn't
stopped.
fall
it fell
over.
off.
Frank is sealing the deal on this bullshit
Yeah.
story for me.
You're switching people online, actually.
Sorry, Glenn, but your
Also,
wife
it's
is
like
bullshit
it's
with
also
that
like
story.
if the tailgate is open, like you wouldn't put ropes and all, there's nothing else you have in the
Why
back.
would you
Yeah.
put the
Yeah.
crab in
Yeah.
the back?
Plus, who would
Yeah.
drive away from all that
If
blue claw?
If you're a good old
Blue
boy and you're putting a big old pot of claws and crabs in your
It
thing,
depends.
you're
It
gonna
dep-
tie
you
that
know,
shit.
it
You got
does-
rope in your truck. You're
It's a
gonna
lot of
tie
work.
that
It
shit
depends.
down.
If you are in the South and if you have a bowl of crabs, but then you see a black guy you don't like, you're like, all right, guys, I need to get this rope. I gotta untie some shit. I'm gonna put this fucking pot down. We gotta handle some business. So maybe that does add up.
Their rope was being used elsewhere.
Oh my God! I just had this. Did I tell you? Oh, I was telling you this the other day when we were at the back bar about how I went into Macy's, where I had the white woman moment where someone, because of my actions, thought I was being racist,
Uh-huh.
right? And so I was walking into Macy's, and as I was walking in, there was a young black guy, and he was dressed nicely, but he was, when you walk into the glass doors, he was standing to my left, a little bit behind, right? And his gait when he was walking, walked towards me, kind of fell into my gait, right? And I was like, oh, that's weird, right? And I just turned around to look, and as I turned around to look, he was like talking into like a microphone, right, or something like that, right? And it made me like look at him like, a microphone, like what did I do, like, you know what I mean? But then he looked at me and like I was being racist against him, like he thought I was being like, who's that black guy behind me, right? And it was just a weird moment of just like, God, I can't even that whatever I say, it's gonna be bullshit.
I get
Have you
that.
ever you ever had that experience?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
can happen as a white guy too, a lot.
Yeah, man. Yo, listen, it is not easy for you guys right now. You know?
Yeah,
I get it, bro. I
it's
get
tough
it.
times. I'm a
I
good
just felt
kid.
so bad
Yeah.
because I wanted to over-explain, like,
Yeah.
no, dude, because it was right in my gate, and you know what I mean. Anyway, I don't know.
By the
why I
way,
had
when
to
it comes to mass shootings, you guys
Yeah.
are putting up numbers.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
we lead
Yes,
the league,
yes.
Bro,
yes.
the Washington,
Correct, correct.
We had to
the
put up
Washington
numbers
sniper,
somewhere.
nutting on you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right in your
You are
crosshairs. dude.
100% correct. I don't know why I shared that story. I guess it's to turn it all around to you're fucking lying, bitch. Okay. All right. So, by the way, I never brought up that we do have a sponsor. Blue Apron is our sponsor. I harp on that quite a bit. If you ever wanted to try a food delivery service, why not? You go to the grocery store all the time, and right now you might want to have a food delivery service come to your house. Why don't you give Blue Apron a shot? If you go to Blue Apron and you decide that you want to start the service, or you're very curious about it, and you go to check out, and there is a code box. If you put Liars in there, you'll get 30% off.
Is that for sure?
I looked it up, and I think it is for sure, but I can't ever remember.
I looked it up, and our ad says $30 when you do it on the script, so I don't know.
Okay, no, you're correct. Always trust Austin.
Either way, take back dinner, baby.
Either way, always trust Austin unless there's weed hidden in your house. Anyway, so
hilarious.
So let's have Austin recap the stories, and then we'll take a vote.
All right, Frank's first story, he and his cousin were nerdy metalheads that would find weird, obscure shows in East San Jose and go to them.
Story, yeah.
One time they're at one, and he's got his favorite jacket on. Apparently some girls had beef with each other, and this Chola girl got pushed by another chick into the mosh pit, and she immediately takes a gratuitous elbow to the face. They move over to the benches and put their jackets down when everyone got told somebody got stabbed. So they start clearing out of there pretty quick, only to see that the girl that pushed the Chola girl was left behind and bleeding. Then they finally get back to his cousins and realize that he left his jacket at the place. And I forgot to add, he or his cousin Googled it, and the girl did die. Story 2, his parents got divorced when they were all younger, and Felicia has a crush on his dad. But back at the time, his mom was going to college in Gilroy by the mountains and stuff, and one night she was leaving and saw the eyes of a cat under a street lamp, so she goes over and calls it, but turns out to be a mountain lion. So she tries to dip out and hauls ass to her car, but thankfully she had already unlocked the door. However, she unfortunately left her keys outside, leaving her in a very Cujo-esque storyline that I do not believe at all.
There's so many holes all over all of these stories, and by the way, I have had sex with another comedian's father before. I'm just saying.
Oh, shit! My dad better not watch this podcast.
But you know what the big bummer is about that is they always circle around to, so my son's a comic, and I'm really worried about him.
Oh my God!
You got dads
so
out here
funny.
sleeping their way to the top for
For
their
the
kids?
That's the
Yo,
most millennial
that's
shit
so
I've ever
funny.
heard.
Oh my God.
That's like when my mom used to help me do my science projects as a kid.
I
Or sell my Girl Scout cookies. I'm like, you're doing
Yeah.
my work.
So
That's a pimp,
I have to know.
Frank's like, why'd you tell that black guy story? You should have told this
Yeah,
story.
yeah. So what was it? Was the son funnier than the So what was better, the sex with the dad or the comic as being funny?
That's such a fucking guy comic
I
thing
know,
to fucking
right?
ask.
Well, I mean, yeah,
apples and
But I
oranges,
gotta-
Frank.
Of
Apples
course,
and oranges.
but I want to
gotta
know
say,
the difference. I want to give me the juice.
I'm curious.
All right, so he had mentioned briefly he's very handsome fella, the father, extremely handsome, and so
And he was a
very
comic?
good. And he
His
had
son's a comic.
The
Oh,
son's
okay,
a comic, yeah.
That makes sense.
And he was very straight laced. He was too straight for me, and but when he said that, and then he told me his son's name, and I went and I'm not going to say the name, and I went and looked it up. And then the next time we had sex, I said, and he brought it up again. And I was like, don't worry, I think he's in a good circle. Move it the fuck along. Then I broke
Very
up with him
diplomatic answer.
because he was too straight. And all right, so here's my
Does he believe in
question.
God?
He did 2 nights in a row. Austin is late to class.
Trying to keep up with the comment section.
Wow,
Drop that mic.
It was about 30 seconds each time, but
Oh,
still.
my God.
Hey, you don't complain when you're my age. All right, so here's my question about the stories. You said, first of all, that the guy went on stage and said there's been a stabbing outside, and then that someone yelled out.
No. He said
stop saying
saying
yeah,
that.
it's not
That's-
cool.
yeah.
And then someone from the back yelled out,
Someone got stabbed.
someone got stabbed outside.
Yeah.
Right? But then it turns out the girl got stabbed and was laying inside
No,
before.
she was laying outside of the door.
Outside.
Of the door.
outside.
Yeah.
He walked
That's
out
why I
and
had to
saw
walk
her.
over her.
Yeah. So it was right at the
Right.
end. So it was one of those things of she got stabbed. You can tell she was trying to leave and then finally passed out as she got out.
So this is what I get confused by. So if she gets and my apologies. I hope no one gets triggered or has ever been stabbed. So she gets stabbed by the mosh pit. She gets outside. She falls over and she keels right in front of the door. And then the guy on stage says, "Stop with the rumor that someone's been stabbed." It happens that quick.
Well,
It seems like
I don't know.
if someone called that from the front on a walkie-talkie to the
Oh,
back.
there was no walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
It was not one of those because it wasn't like a music
This is
venue.
just
It was like someone rented
It doesn't
a
seem
hall.
like anyone gives a fuck.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this
Someone
point.
so
Yeah.
like it's like a indie metal show. Someone like
Grange
rented the
hall.
hall. Yeah, it was like someone rented the hall and it was like all these bands. So there was like not really like security or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some like mid-level metal scene. So it's
Not
called like
even that.
Awesome Fest, and it has like
It was
you know
like
what I
it was
mean?
like, yo, my band's playing at this place with like a shitty
Right.
made flyer. Yeah.
What are people online saying, Austin?
Doughboy wants to know, is your mom black? Because ain't no way she'd approach a mountain lion.
She's Mexican.
In which case, maybe, you know, who knows?
He likes that.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anything else?
Ken and Marino checking in. They both think the second story is a lie. I tend to believe them just because tend to side with them because of the whole keys outside the vehicle thing. Like, just seems too Cujo, too Stephen King written for me.
Yeah, but you
so.
might leave the keys if you think you're running from a fucking mountain
Buddy,
lion.
I don't
Well, let
leave
me
my keys
just-
anywhere. They're like on my belt loop. I always have them.
What kind
Okay.
of car does your mom drive?
Or then
Oh man, at the time I have no idea.
I don't Austin, understand how you think that the key outside of the car was bullshit, but you'll believe a dead body of some girl that got stabbed by a cholo
I do
outside
believe
of the
that.
I do believe
Really?
it. Yeah.
Really?
Crazier stuff than that.
Maybe
that's
because
happened
I'm
in
from
concerts.
Vegas and that's like not a surprise to me. I've seen fights break out like
She
that.
saw
Yeah.
Tupac's dick or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I saw-
Yes.
Listen,
Remember
I
when you saw
literally-
Tupac's
yeah,
dick?
I do. How could anyone forget?
Yeah. You guys will have to look at the episode
It's
that
a big
Rachel was
memory
on.
in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
past.
By the way, I'm still back here reeling from that. I think it's the first applause break we've ever had on this, and that was a fantastic time.
I can't wait to go back and look because somebody
So-
said look at Michael's reaction, so I can't
Yeah.
wait to get back.
I'm so glad to be a part of it. A lot of fun.
Michael has a fun reaction. You're like, what?
By the way, real quick, not to like bring everything to a screeching halt,
Uh-huh.
but we've been working on an animation that we're releasing soon with
Yeah.
Bobby Lee, and
Yes.
or one of the
Yeah.
animations we're doing, and it has a big Michael laugh scene in it. So I've had
Yeah.
to go through all of Michael's laughs through the last few episodes, and I have a minute and a half of the funniest laughter you have ever heard.
Oh, a minute and a half?
Oh, I don't know who's funnier, you or Jessica. I mean,
Yeah,
Wow.
outrageous
yeah.
laughter.
Yeah,
on the show.
suck
No.
it, Jess.
You know what's funny is that we asked Michael to send in a laugh. It's actually the Josh.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, Josh and Eleanor.
Yeah,
Carey.
Josh and Eleanor, which is our next animation. And so we wanted Michael to have his fun laugh. And we said, hey, will you do a laugh and record it and send it to us? And then he sent the laughs. And they were the most normal fucking laughs. And we were like, how are we going to tell Michael
I knew
not
that was
those
gonna
normal
bomb.
laughs?
I knew they were going to bump.
Oh my god.
Not
that's
creepy
so
at all.
fucking
Totally get it.
That's a bit creepy.
Like that. And then he squeals it a little sometimes.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's take a vote. Michael, what do you think?
I think we're going on Frank's stories.
Uh-huh.
I think
The
that-
first story is, you think that's a lie?
I think the first story is the lie because it.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, run it back.
Yeah.
I think the second one, whether or not it really happened, I think that's the story he was told.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because it's a second hand. So I think to him that is his true story,
Okay.
and that the chick and something happened at the
yeah.
something happened at the metal show, but the chick didn't really die.
What about the jacket thing? Have we talked about that at all? Because that's what really throws me off.
Yeah,
about
what
the
kind
first
of
story.
jacket was it?
That's like an Easter egg. or
Members
something.
only.
It was a brown Burton jacket.
Ooh, in Southern California though.
I used to work at Zoomies
Ah,
when I was in high school.
Oh.
Certain
Right.
sweatshirts were 50% off.
and they're,
Really?
so
Not
they're still like
members only?
$169 or something.
Yeah, so it's still 75 bucks.
Yeah.
All right, Kimmie D, what do you think? Which story do you think is the lie? Any day.
He looks like a guy that would walk over a bleeding woman.
Worth the wait on that.
He is a comedian. Okay. All right. Fair
so
enough.
when do I?
Wait, hold on.
Oh, I
Hold on.
think the first story is the truth.
You
So
think
the cat story is
the
not.
lie?
yeah,
you
I'm
think
going that way too.
Yeah.
You crazies.
Oh, and Michael, you're saying the cat story is a lie.
I think the cat story is the true story here.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, we're saying it's a true story.
Okay.
Also, what about the fact that he was so willing to call his mom?
Yeah.
But he was 9.
Hey.
He was 9.
But then he backtracked and was like, I don't
That's-
know.
yeah,
my
that's true.
He
mom."
said, "Hope you don't open up
Yeah.
that can of worms."
Yeah.
Oh, you mean now?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, no, yeah. Like right now, he was
Right,
about to
right.
call
All right,
his
so
mom.
you
on the
guys
phone.
all think the cat story is true, and that the girl getting stabbed story you think is true.
Yeah. I could
Okay.
see him walking over a woman
Right.
bleeding.
Okay.
What do you think, Felicia?
God, it's so
I heard his
hard.
set last week. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, I just know Frank, so like
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So you think that story is which story do you think is
I
the
mean,
truth?
I'm just gonna think.
Hey,
I'm
Michael,
gonna
will you
think-
tell people
I'm
to
gonna
zip
stand
it
what
a
I
little out
stand
there?
by.
It's very loud.
Yeah, it's interesting. My door's shut too, and
Yeah.
it's coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, can you tell them to zip it just a shush it, just a tink?
Yeah.
So
And
which
also,
story?
she confirmed that she saw Frank's set, and Frank
Yeah.
talks about his life. So
So you're
I think I don't know. I'm gonna guess the Bobcat story not true
okay.
or cougar.
The cougar story, not true.
Did you say what yours was?
No, I'm gonna say that the concert story is the lie, because it just seemed too weird, and I think he's trying to. What is that called? Not an Easter egg, but something they give you a piece of information that's really like with the jacket
A
thing.
kicker, like a.
I just.
a diversion.
Yeah, I just think that's like a red herring.
Bait
I
and
think they call it.
switch.
Yeah,
The
bait and switch. So I'm gonna say the concert story
Did you
is.
see how giddy he got when we were buying into the big cat thing? Like he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you guys are running with this."
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
a good point too.
Yeah.
Yo, this is so fun.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
know. I need
So
to know.
Frank, which one is the lie?
The cat story.
I knew it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. My mom was going
Nice,
to. My
dude.
mom was going to college and stuff.
Uh-huh.
She was walking to her car, and then when she got to her car, she like opened it and she looked, and there was a big ass mountain lion, but it wasn't like anywhere near her or anything. She just saw it and was like, "Fuck this!"
Yeah.
And got in the car and just drove off.
That's what I thought.
God.
Yeah.
Man, so that chick got stabbed for real.
That chick got stabbed for real. That is a
Told
dead
ya.
body.
Like that's
Yeah.
so metal. Seems
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull
Legit?
that out.
That checks
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Eastside San Jose does not play. Yeah.
San Jose,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
Like,
she had the girl that got stabbed had an Oakland Athletics shirt on too.
I bet
Yeah,
she
it was
did.
fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
R.I.P.
Did you throw the
Yeah.
jacket thing in there to throw us off?
No,
or
that was a real
They
thing.
should
I really
call
lost
it-
my favorite
They
jacket.
should call it Stab Jose
And
because
that-
it
and that
might
was
happen.
Name
and
of the
that,
episode.
that was the thing too. I remember like getting back and I remember being so mad that I lost my favorite jacket, and my cousin just looked at me and goes, "Dude, a woman got
Someone
stabbed."
lost their life.
And I was like, "You're right." You're
Yeah,
right.
but like 50% off at Zoomies ain't shit. So it's more like death to my bank account.
Agreed.
You don't understand. That was like an $80 jacket.
Yeah, death to my paycheck.
It
really
was
killed.
reversible.
All right, let's move it on. And what about Kimmie's stories quickly, please?
Kimmie's first story when she was a kid, she tried out for the Rockettes, and she had always wanted to because of Gene Kelly and her friend Gail Dunkel. So eventually, Fred Kelly sent her to New York, and she finally got to live out her dream of auditioning. And she made a sub position despite her height, and she still has tap shoes. Story number 2, she was 37 tracking down people for her high school reunion, so she stumbled upon this fellow that she knew who proposed to her and invited her to go back to his house in South Carolina, where she told him to hide all the pictures of his ex-girlfriend, but he must have refused or something because they got upset. She stormed away, chucking his ring at him and pleading with God for a sign, and God, as he always will, comes through with a sign and flips over a truck with a big pot of crabs in it. So she grabs some of those crabs, takes them back to the house, and reveals that she's got crabs, so they eat them together. He interrogates her about where they found them. They eat them anyway, and the next day there was a store with a crab pen that convinced them to get married.
You know, in the recap, it sounds fucking stupid. Like it sounds like the most bullshit thing ever.
Yeah, that story gave me crabs.
You're welcome. First date. Remember me.
Wow, there's so much bullshit tied around something.
Stabbings and crabbings.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast does.
Yeah.
Crab Jose.
Fuck you. You beat me to it.
Here's the thing about, I just can't imagine that your husband would have pictures of his girlfriend around the house. That is weird. It's weird, especially you guys were already engaged. That is, if that's the case, what's wrong with him? Is he on the? Is he like on the spectrum or something like that? Is she spectrum me fucking?
I wish that would explain a
He's
lot.
like, I just want you to look at what this could be like.
Right.
Wow. And
See what you have to measure
yeah.
up to, bitch.
And then, but for you to make that demand before you get there, like you knew something was up. Was it that there was a story about your ex-husband that he was with someone for a long time? Was there like a backstory?
They were engaged.
Oh, they were engaged.
Mm.
And so you just thought after you met him in New York again, right?
We both went to school in New Jersey.
Right. And so it was because of the reunion.
The reunion was in New Jersey, but he didn't make it.
Oh, he didn't.
I went by myself.
But then where did you
We
guys
were married
get,
by then
But where did you guys get engaged?
in California.
So you
We talked on the phone for a month.
uh-huh.
He came to California to
visit
me.
you because you had just moved to Santa Barbara.
No, I was still in L.A.
Okay, sorry.
He had a ring in his pocket and asked me to marry him. I
Uh-huh.
said, "Who's moving?" He
Uh-huh.
said, "I will." I went, "Okay." But then he went back home to his house, and then a couple months later, I went to go visit him, just to see what it was like.
But see, this is what fucking just gets on my nerves about this podcast. Because then if I say, okay, I don't believe that horseshit story because it is bullshit, like Michael said when he did the recap. But then I can't believe, like Michael said when you did the recap, but I can't believe that you were even a sub for the Rockettes. I mean, that sounds like insanity because they're all tall. Like if they did a kick up, you know what I mean?
Maybe that's why she's playing the game because it's so unbelievable
But
that we would automatically be like, well, you're height. You can't be a Rockette.
Right.
That we would just automatically shoot that down.
Yeah, at least that's something that could actually
You're more
happen.
like a mini Rockette.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I was
You're
thinking
like a
maybe
Raquito.
they
But
do
as-
Christmas shows. Maybe
You're
they
a
have-
missile.
But as things changed, I mean, the price of, what you got per month then and what you got per or week now is different. So they changed. You were tinier. People are taller now. People have more.
Yeah, you're more like a pocket rocket.
That's hilarious. That was very funny.
See, that's how I gave you
A pocket
crabs.
rocket.
A pocket
you.
rocket.
I don't know. What are people online? What is the vote
Well,
online?
we need something clarified online real quick
Okay.
because Ken Lofgren says the lack of a locking lid is what sells him on this lie. So I don't really know what he's saying there. The lack of a locking lid.
On the crab pot?
Yeah.
But see, that's
Like,
what doesn't say because as long as I've lived in the
if you
South,
boil crabs, you have to have
Yeah,
the
there
I've
is
been
kind
to
of
a
pot
lot of
used.
low country boils, a
Uh-huh.
lot of stuff like that.
They have a locking
Never
lid.
had anybody bring the boiling crab to the crab boil.
Yeah, how would it
They're
be?
always there, and you cook
I've
them
seen it.
there.
I've seen people bring crock pots.
Hot. You've seen hot crabs on the
Not-
way to a
no.
thing in the back of
I
a
haven't
truck.
seen that.
Not hot already.
That's what I'm
Frank
saying. That's what I'm
said-
saying. You
Already.
never see boiled crabs like already on the truck. Like, oh, we need to get them started, then we'll get them there. You just cook them when you get there. They cook in like 10 minutes.
Well, and when Frank said, let's think about the physics of this and how could it fall off the back of the truck without whoosh, whoosh, watering over and then falling over, it's just this couldn't actually happen, I feel
Yeah,
like,
because if they fell when they screeched to the stop sign, it would have fell in the different direction than falling off the truck, right?
You do
You're
know that
goddamn right.
was she a dancer? You
Uh,
know that about her? Are you allowed to say?
I don't. That's.
She's a tiny dancer.
Hey, another one!
I'll start my own applause break.
I gave her chumps for you.
God, great work, Frank. You're
Two
on
mic
fire.
drops today.
Jesus
that's-
Christ.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm going. Oh, this is so hard because you even said that Fred. What was his name?
Kelly.
Kelly's.
Gene Kelly's Fred person.
Fred Kelly's person that she was a tall rocket. You even said that. So
Maybe
And
back
it's
then
not-
it was like the
yeah.
Russian doll rockets. Like there's like from all different sizes.
Well, if you notice too, the tallest ones are in the middle and they taper down.
but
damn.
come on,
She
the
could be
late
a
'70s
taper.
and '80s, there were Flintstone
but-
vitamins. Not everybody was short, Kimmie. You know what I
But-
mean?
No, but when you have an in also,
That's
like
what
the
I was
name
thinking.
like
Connections,
Kelly,
like network. Like
Yeah.
if Gene Kelly's whoever calls
and she
you.
was the substitute.
Did you ever actually sub?
No.
And
that seals the deal.
That
for
still
me.
adds up to me. That still adds up.
Maybe
they do Christmas shows. Maybe it was like a little elf roll or something. that they had.
The thing is though, as
No
much
one
as,
had diarrhea that day.
they do more shows now than they did then, but also it was pretty much one of those things where if you were half dead, you were still going to work because you didn't want to lose this gig.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like being an understudy on Broadway. It doesn't typically happen.
Do you think it was like one of those things where like Fred Kelly had to pull in a favor, like, look, this chick's been
That's
paying
kinda what I
for
was thinking,
lessons
like-
for fucking ever. Can you just say she's a sub?
No, actually,
Like that?
because he actually had me open shows.
At the
When we did
for the
big-
Rockettes?
No, when we did big recitals
Uh-huh.
when I was really young,
Uh-huh.
like little.
Uh-huh.
He had us open. It was me and this little boy Keith, and we opened up the show, and he would give me certain lessons, because the two of us
All
opened
right,
up
Kimmie,
the show together.
you're I'm gonna say this is a motherfucking lie. Like, I just can't imagine. I've seen the Rockettes. I can't imagine that. You know, they're all kind of the same. That's the whole thing. Is they're all kind of the same height. They're all kind of.
They're not
Yeah.
all the same height.
Yeah,
though.
well-
The
I'm
ones
gonna-
in the middle are taller, and they go down to the side.
Yeah, but then that's fucking going really down.
Yeah, I'm
The whole
gonna
foot of
go
difference.
with I'm gonna go with the first story is not the truth, and that the second story
is the truth. So
Yeah.
you're saying the first story is the lie.
I'm gonna say first story's a lie.
Yeah.
The Rockettes the lie.
I'm 0 for 1, but I'm thinking she was a sub Rockette, and you guys are gonna feel real sorry.
I'm with Michael, and so is Kenny, Marino, and Josu. We all think that the first story is true because I just think she's playing the game. It's something so unbelievable that we would immediately be like, "Yeah, you're fucking right.
Yeah.
It's not gonna."
I'm
happen.
rooting for Tiny Dancer here.
Me too.
Oh my God, I hate this game. I think that's so hard though. I think that's so fuck.
Uh-oh. Do you know a Glenn Deisler?
That's my husband.
Uh-oh.
What's he saying?
Glenn Deisler says, my tiny dancer, and then comments to Josu. Josu, you don't
That's
know
Josue.
Kimmie. Or Josue, I'm sorry. Josue voted first story true, second is a lie.
But Glenn, why did you leave pictures of your ex-fiance up around
Wait,
the house? That's terrible. That's the
He's
truth.
got
We don't
established
know.
dominance
We don't know
now.
that it's a fact.
If you want to
They
hear
ain't married
something
yet.
worse, here's something worse.
I said you were on the spectrum, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Here's something worse.
True, that's very true.
Maybe he didn't start watching until this point, and then you just ratted yourself out.
Here's the worst part of that story.
Yeah.
He gave me her ring. She
Oh my God.
Glenn, you dog.
Like,
You
so is
dirty
that-
dog.
He
But in
gave
his
you-
defense, rings are expensive, and
That is some spectrum-y shit, Glenn.
at
Some
least
spectrum-y
he
shit.
didn't give you ringworm.
I gave him crabs though.
Oh.
Crab's very expensive.
So that story's true.
No, we
Well-
haven't asked her yet.
Oh.
Yeah, so your vote is?
I'm going with the crab story being a lie. Despite
Okay, I'm
Glenn's-
going to say the crab story is the truth because it's
Here's something that supports the crab story.
okay.
We don't know. There's no way to know she was ever a Rockette. We do know she's still married to Glenn.
And
I
she's
mean,
a
fuck.
good
No, that to
cook.
be
I'm a
true.
comic.
Glenn-
I have no
Glenn
money to
could
leave.
be backing her up, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have
That
no
could
money
be.
to
They
leave.
could be in this together.
I'm so confused, but
We're married 20 years. We're not into anything together.
all right, I'm going to go with you guys and say the Rockette story is the lie.
Okay.
All right, we all good?
Yeah.
What story is the lie?
Rocket.
Oh! How did that pot fall off the truck?
Okay,
Tiny
first-
dancer?
Okay, first of all, everything that story was true, including the fact that you could have been at 5 foot of Rockette at that time.
But
Every-
4'11" was
But
so
you're not 5
believable.
foot.
but no, I'm 4 foot and 3/4. But
Still not 5 foot.
but
Still not 5 foot.
But I didn't try out for the Rockettes, but he did have me go to New York a lot for auditions, and I did open up for the stuff, and he was Gene Kelly's, and I do have a friend named
So
Gail's
it's true
uncle.
that Glenn did put did have the pictures of the ex-fiance up when you
They
came?
were in a big album on the shelf in the living room. Yeah.
That's baller
Come on, Glenn.
shit.
Come
dog.
on.
No. So you're saying they were in the album, they weren't out?
They were
The
still.
album was out.
Thank you.
Glenn must have a piece. on him or
Don't you
something.
dare side with him.
Serious
Don't
piece.
you dare
Glenn,
side
I'm
with
sorry I said all that stuff about you being on the spectrum because
I mean,
they
if he's
were
got
in
a huge dick, I can understand if he's a little autistic. You know what I mean?
because of those.
That's where all the blood's going. Yeah.
We call him Glenn Hold Me Close. No applause breaks. I'm dropping jokes this whole time.
I have to pee so bad. I'm so sorry.
Really?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I was gonna have you start off, and we were all gonna sing Tiny Dancer.
Oh, let's sing
together.
Tiny Dancer.
Okay,
All right.
you start it. You start it.
I actually cannot remember the words of Tiny Dancer right
Baby.
now. Blue Jean Baby.
Hey,
lady.
seamstress
for
the band.
All right, that's
All
all
right.
I got.
Ready?
All right,
to
go,
guys.
Pete. Go quick and come back because we want to get your credits. Or do you want to say your credits
we can
real
do it
quick?
real quick. You can find me on Twitter, Frank C. Comedy. I'm on Instagram, Frank Castillo. I'm here at the Comedy Store all the time. I'm going on the road with Bert Kreischer in April and May.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Did you
Nice.
just see I retweeted his thing that he did about the coronavirus
Yeah.
with the hazmat? He
So
was very
funny.
funny. Such
Yeah.
a funny guy.
But yeah, so catch me on all that.
Okay,
Nice,
wonderful.
nice.
What about you, Kimmie?
Kimmie D at on Twitter. It's Kimmie D with underscore because some other bitch had that name. There's like 400 whores with that name. And No Indoor Voices. We have a show coming up March 21st with Earl Skakel here.
Yeah.
Right? And we have Chris Adams.
Wonderful.
Yay. And Ruben Paul.
Okay, wonderful show. Wonderful show. Thank you so much for
Thank
driving
you so much
down
for
from
having
here.
me.
I know you got to
Thank you
run.
so
Yeah,
much, Felicia.
you got to. And
Thank you
Rachel,
so
what do you got shaking?
You can follow me at Wolfie Comedy or at Wolfie Memes on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or Chronic Relief Pod. And Felicia's episode will be dropping soon.
Yeah.
And by the way, follow everyone on Twitter. And Rachel, your Twitter feed is fucking off
Oh
the
my
hook.
God.
I love your
Thank you.
Gotta be
Twitter
the
feed. Yeah,
I
you're
have to
really
stop
good at it.
myself from replying and retweeting
Yeah.
constantly because it's
Yeah.
so
No,
funny.
please retweet. I want to go viral.
I feel like my
Well, you
whole
did
media
go
feed just gonna be
viral with
Rachel
your
Wolfson.
OJ
Shake
yeah,
somebody's
yeah, yeah.
hand and you'll
What
go
was the OJ
viral.
joke?
Oh yeah,
That's true.
What was it?
well, I mean, it's up there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
I
OJ
I don't want to
joke.
say
Very
it.
funny.
What a
I'm trying
teaser.
to sign up for potluck. Okay.
All right. And Michael, where can people find you and what do you got shaking and all that jazz?
Check out our live show tomorrow in the Belly Room at the Comedy
I
Store at 8
know.
o'clock. It's going to be killer.
Killer lineup: Janelle James,
Jamie
Kyle
Kennedy,
Kinane, Jamie Kennedy,
Lisa
Jack
Traeger.
Jr.
And I'm on the Gateway Show at the Hollywood Improv April 1st as well. It's going to be fun.
Ooh, that'll be a good
It's a
one.
fun show.
That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite shows
Yeah,
to
it's
do.
so
It's my
fun.
absolute favorite show.
Yeah,
to
yeah. I
do.
want to do that show with you.
I know, me too.
Yeah,
That'd be so. I
We
got
should all do
so
it
high
together.
in Denver.
Yeah,
I got
let's all
too
three do
high.
it
Oh my
together.
god, that would be
Oh,
so
yeah.
fun. I got the highest on the show in Denver from
Yeah,
Dabs.
yeah.
My eyes started crying.
Oh wow.
Frank bailed.
Yeah. Frank has
Bye,
to go
Frank.
pee. And Austin, what about you?
I'm at the Austin Walker on everything. As I said, we're here tomorrow, March 3rd, 8 p.m. in the Belly Room. Also, we're at the Ice House on March 13th, so you can catch us there. And that's all I got. Go Gators.
All right, and you
Go
can catch
Gators.
me in the third week of March at the Stardome in Birmingham, Alabama. Jessica is opening up for Russell Peters in Charlotte, and I'll probably be there. We're probably going to try to weasel him into doing a podcast, so that should be
Amazing.
fun. Yeah, yeah. And then we are going to
Yay.
be at the North Carolina Comedy Festival in Raleigh. And so please do us a big favor. If you know anyone in those cities, tell them that we're doing the show. And thank you guys so much for always tuning in when we stream live. Everyone that plays along, I appreciate it so much. We love you guys. We talk about you guys all the time, and we laugh later on from all the jokes that are going. Sometimes I go and I read the comments afterwards, and they always make me crack up. And for everyone that's listening, wherever you find your podcast needs, whether it's Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, I just want to say thank you very much for listening. Please recommend the podcast to other people. Please leave a review. That would be awesome if you guys could leave a review, even if it's here so that the Comedy Store can see it and all that kind of jazz. And also try the Blue Apron thing so that it looks good for a sponsorship. And
Take
all
back
that.
dinner.
Take back
Take
dinner.
back dinner.
You can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels. Please follow Jess Wellington too, all across the board, and she will be back on Friday. Thank you guys very much, and you
Thank
have
you.
been lied to.